This episode of the New Medical Nomads podcast is brought to you by Nomadicare. Now, personally, I love Nomadicare. I've used Nomadicare, and I recommend the company to all new travelers. What Nomadicare does is it takes the fear out of getting set up with a bad recruiter, which is the biggest fear that you have jumping into this journey. So they sit down, they interview recruiters, they vet them, get them on a list, and then provide them to you as a free service, as a free recruiter matchmaking service in order to get you started on your journey. Now, usually you only get 2 recruiters going through Nomadicare, but being a listener of the show, you can get 3. So this is how it's going to work. You go to nomadicare.com/Dylan. You will get set up with 3 recruiters to be on your dream team, as well as a guide to get you started on your journey.
Ashley Lemanski, where are you at in the world right now?
I am in San Francisco, California. Look at that Golden Gate Bridge.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the New Medical Nomads podcast. I am your host, Dr. Callier, and today, for the second time, I'm bringing you Ashley Lemanski, celebrity of the travel world.
Barely.
The best hugs. Ashley, you are a traveling COTA, and so we're going to be talking about that. But also, this is an impromptu little session, so we're going to make it quick. But Ashley was checking out the Golden Gate Bridge, so I decided to go ahead and hit the record button. Yeah. Ashley, we had a traveler meetup yesterday in San Jose. What do you like about meeting other travelers?
Oh my goodness. There's so much connection and everybody vibes so beautifully. So you have the friendliness. You can share different experiences about, traveling. And for me, on a personal level, yesterday was huge because I came from rural Wyoming to San Francisco. I was extremely overwhelmed by just the experience of coming into the city after 7 months in the desert. So talking with people about their experience in California and San Francisco was really awesome. So on a personal level, that really helped me yesterday. But yeah.
Very good. Yeah. So that was the number 4 or 5 meetup that I've hosted, and so far been the largest. We had 40 plus travelers show up, mostly on the allied side, but just a really good time. Like you said, good time to connect with people, hear their stories. And when you're on the road, you can feel like you're the only one doing this. And so when you're in an area where there's several travelers and you get to meet up and just realize like, oh, I'm not the only one on this crazy journey. I'm not the only one that has to tell their family bye and go off on this adventure to a city that I don't know anyone and stuff like that. And so meeting other travelers is super easy compared to, I feel like, them meeting other people, because there's just as a traveler, you're used to just kind of, you're only there for a certain amount of time, so there's a lot less barriers when you have conversations. And when you have a traveler versus a traveler, they're talking, it's just like you get amplified and just straight into best friendship.
Oh, that's exactly right. You were so right about that. Within like 30 minutes, you're like best friend status because of the connection. Yeah. And what I liked about last night, and props to you for putting that on, that was like flawless. And shout out to Jeremy and Scott for helping out too.
Yes, our sponsors.
Yeah, you guys made that happen. But what was special about last night is it was so close to TravCon that a lot of us saw each other last month, and like that was so much fun. That was perfect. Yeah.
TravCon is the big meetup, and then I'm able to just have some small meetups, just so wherever the contracts are. But So Ashley, can you tell the listeners what does COTA stand for? What is a COTA?
So COTA stands for Certified Occupational Therapy Assistant.
And can you describe what kind of your role is and what you do in the healthcare field?
Yep. So pretty much I mainly work in skilled nursing facilities in the rehab department. And my job is to pretty much go in, read the evaluation, read the goals that the OT sets, and then I get to, I do the treatments with all of the patients. And it's a really beautiful thing. I love it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. Because we have a lot of allied listeners, and they're pretty familiar with what COTAs are. But we also have a lot of sonographers and MRI techs and nurses that listen that might not know what COTAs are. And the reason I wanted to have you on the show is because COTAs are having a hard time finding jobs right now. The market is very, very low for the market, and so you don't have a lot of choices. But you seem to be consistent in finding jobs and opportunities, and just continually finding work. Whereas some that I don't see that happening, or some deciding to go back home and take a permanent job just because the market isn't in their favor.
Right.
So how do you feel like you've been able to successfully continually find contracts when the market is as low as it is right now for the COTAs?
Yeah, for sure. So there's three main things. The first thing is I pray about it. You know, I knew you knew I was going to say that. I'm a Christian, so I pray about stuff like that, and there's no doubt in my mind that has helped. A second thing is that I work with multiple recruiters. That was one of the first things that Laura educated me on almost 3 years ago, 2 years ago now when I started, and that is such good advice, and it's super helpful. So I work with one big company. Oh, look, I have a friend. I don't know if you can see him.
If you're on the YouTube experience right now, you get to see the cute puppies. One benefit of watching the show on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. The dogs here are super friendly. So I work with one really, really big company and then a couple smaller ones. And to be honest with you, half of my contracts have been exclusive contracts with the big company. And I'm distracted right now. I think he smells some food. Absolutely. You guys have a good night. And so that's all right. And so the exclusive contracts with the big company, the smaller ones didn't have. So honestly, half of my success has been working with that particular company. And then a third thing is I've been pretty flexible. I am because of the market, I'm willing to go wherever. So for instance, I've been trying to make it to California for about 2.5 years. I was in Tennessee with a Tennessee, a Kentucky, a Texas, and a California license, trying to make it to California. Nothing was coming up, no good leads. And so we switched gears, and my recruiter said, all right, there's something in Wyoming, Maine, Montana, and one other state. She said, would you be willing to go there? And I said, yes. So she submitted me, and then whichever one I got the contract with, I would get licensed. And so I went to Wyoming, and I was very flexible. I said, yes, that's fine. Just get me work. And I had 1 week between that assignment in Wyoming, and it was perfect. It was insanely perfect how it happened. I ended up extending twice, and I was there for 7 months. So that just goes to show right there, you've really got to be flexible. And maybe you want to get somewhere. Don't give up. It can happen. But if you need to go somewhere else in between, then that's, you got to do that as a COTA right now. So,
I see. How many recruiters do you work with?
3.
3. Okay.
Yep.
That is usually what I recommend. 3 seems to be the perfect number. Anything below that, you're not going to get the opportunities that you would have if you had more. Anything more than 3 usually starts getting overwhelming, and it's hard to keep those relationships and make sure that you're communicating with everybody fast and efficiently, so everybody's on the same page. Because that's the trick with working with multiple recruiters and multiple staffing agencies, is that the communication has to be on point. And so if you are working with 5, which I've tried to do, usually 1 or 2 end up getting a little bit left out or not on the same page, or just kind of, it's hard when you're going through the interview process and submittal process and trying to keep everybody on the same page. So usually 3 is what I recommend before starting or working with as you are traveling. And then remaining flexible, I would totally agree with that. The market definitely allows you to be a little bit more picky if it's in your favor. So if you're a physical therapist right now, you get to be picky. Depending on the time of the year for nursing, you get to be picky. But for the markets that are lower, you really have to be flexible, and you have to just be ready for the journey of it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And perfect for a journey. That's exactly what this is. That's what we're doing. You don't know where you're going to be in a week sometimes, and that's okay. It's all a journey. And being flexible. Absolutely.
And I like that you mentioned working with larger companies, just because the larger companies do have a larger reach. And so if you think of, you casting a net out for that job that you want, the bigger the net, the more likely you're going to catch it. So definitely make sure you have at least one larger company on your dream team to make sure that you can get those jobs.
Yes, exactly.
So do you usually get the job first and then get licensed in that state?
No, Wyoming was the only time that happened. Right off the bat, I got licensed in 4 states 2.5 years ago when I started. So I was kind of prepared, ready to go to any of those 4 states. And yeah, like I said, Wyoming was that exception where it was pending.
Got it.
Yep.
So the market for COTAs has been low for a while. Have you ever thought of what a plan B was if you weren't able to find a job?
Oh, that's a good question. I told myself when I realized that it was getting pretty low that I was going to ride it out and keep praying. But a plan B for me would be to go back to my tax home and to do PRN or full time. Yeah, absolutely.
Got it.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Well, now for some more of the fun questions. What is your favorite travel story?
Favorite travel story. So the first thing that pops into my head, assignment number 2. I'm in San Antonio, Texas. First time away from family, first time away from parents. So everything was just novel and authentic. So my first weekend out, I met my occupational therapist and 2 other OTs came along. It was on a Friday night. We have a total blast. One therapist invites us to Austin, Texas to hang out with her and her boyfriend. And the next day. So 3 of us hop in the car Saturday morning and we meet the other 2 in Austin and we go out and we have a good time. 12 hours we're out on the town. Wow. Just dancing, having fun. We watched a football game at one point in time. We got super rowdy. There was somebody from Ohio and 2 of us from Michigan. And it was an Ohio-Michigan game. So we got kind of feisty. And it was, I mean, even to this day when we talk, we'll talk about that weekend and how fun it was and how much we connected. And then we got up the next morning and we went to a restaurant that somebody recommended, one of the best ones in Austin. I can tell you the name of it. And we had a stellar breakfast and some morning drinks. So that weekend was just so cool. And that it makes me think of like the meetup last night and then TravCon, when you meet new friends and you connect almost instantly and they're your best friends, and the experiences are just, like I said, just so novel, so fun.
Absolutely. Ashley, did you work as a permanent in a permanent job before you traveled?
I didn't. So I did PRN for 1 full year. I did the old weekend shifts. I was paying my dues. And then I went from, PRN right into travel. So I've never had a full-time therapist job.
When you talk to other COTAs who are interested in traveling, what do you usually tell them? Do you tell them they should try and go straight into travel, or should they try and get a permanent job first and hunker down a little bit, especially with the market being the way it is?
Yeah, I only had one person ask in the last year, and it's the girl who, she just graduated. She's about to take her test, and she just wanted some information. I didn't steer her away from it. I just told her pretty much what I told you. Work with a few recruiters, and she was talking about going through Nomadicare. And so I said, just go ahead and make sure you go through Nomadicare, get some advice, and get some good recruiters. But yeah, if anybody asks, I'll just tell them what's up, tell them the advice that I have, and I would help them along the way. But yeah, nobody really asked.
Got it. What is something that you know now that you wish you would have known when you started traveling?
Darn it, you asked that question last night and I didn't think about it. You didn't ask me, but something I wish I would have known. How much I miss family. Mom, you're going to watch this later. I miss you. So how much I was going to miss family. When I was down in Texas, my second assignment, there were a couple times when I was like, I should just go home. What am I doing? But I toughed it out, and I'm really glad that I did, because the experiences are phenomenal. And we talked about this last night. It really just kind of shapes us and makes us better therapists doing what we're doing. So I'm glad to stick with it, but I didn't realize how much I'd miss family.
Yeah, for sure. I've gotten the opportunity to speak at a couple different conferences and be invited for like internet interviews and stuff at schools, and they always ask what the challenge is with travel. And there's really two. You have the professional side, which is obviously you have to show up, you have to work day one, you have to know the documentation systems, you have to know what is ethical practice, what isn't. But you also have the personal challenges, and saying bye to family is hard, and saying bye to the puppies are hard, and not being able to see grandma for a while, not being able to see mom for a while, it's very, very tough. And there's a reason that not everybody is traveling, because some people just can't do it.
Yeah.
But it's totally okay.
Yeah. Oh, that is okay. Absolutely.
For those who are on the fence, not to scare you away, I do believe that if you have this in you, if you are on the fence, just jump into it, go for it. Because worst case scenario, you're only gone for 3 months. Yeah. And then you come back if you decide that it's not for you. But it's better to do that rather than having that fear of missing out, or that regret later on when you're, older, sitting on the couch, grandkids are like, what would you have done differently? And you're like, oh, I wish I would have traveled instead. So definitely, if you have that in you, no deterring, even when the market is down, just be flexible. You just have to be flexible.
Yes, that is such good advice. Amen.
Just kind of working down the list here. And Ashley, I know you have some plans, so let me know, just wave at me and I can start wrapping it up. But what are some books or podcasts or personalities that you follow that you recommend on your journeys?
Oh my gosh. So my father just recently told me about Clark Howard. He's like a financial dude. So I've been listening to his podcast a lot. When I started packing my stuff, I spent 2 full days just kind of organizing, several hours each day, just organizing my stuff. And I listened to him pretty much the whole time, and he's got great financial advice. I'm starting to think more about retirement and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so that inspires me. I'm reading a Max Lucado book right now called Anxious for Nothing. My church family back in Wyoming gifted me with that. So that's been really cool. Don't be anxious about anything. See what else. I listen to a lot of music. I love music.
Yeah, that's that would be a good follow-up question, because you are always finding the best music venues and the best spots. What is your trick for finding all the music?
Usually if I see friends who I used to go to festivals with, for instance, I went to Colorado Springs a few weeks ago, and we saw 2 Grateful Dead cover bands, one Friday and one Saturday. And it was just because they were there and they knew where to go. So It's with certain friends you get to go to those cool venues and see some good music. Pretty much friends. I haven't gone to a concert really in a while. I used to see Bass Nectar on New Year's Eve quite a bit. I was a big fan of his, but I haven't seen a show in quite some time, so I'm slacking. But friend, hi little buddy.
More puppies. Oh my goodness, he's so cute.
These dogs are just all
You have the best spot on the beach.
I'm telling you, this is probably the 5th dog that's come up to me. It's so cute. So fun fact, world out there's more dogs than children in San Francisco.
There's more dogs than children in San Francisco?
Yeah. I was watching some videos, just like trying to educate myself, and that was one of the statistics. So, there we have it. Perfect example.
So I guess if you're going to be a dog mom, better head to the Bay.
Yeah. Hey guys, friendly dog.
Well, Ashley, do you have anything else that you would like to tell the listeners?
Listen, guys, stay true to yourself. Remember, challenging situations can really bring about just positive situations that make no sense. Just go out there, put yourself out there. And if you are on the fence about traveling, seriously, just go with it. My best advice is to get a couple recruiters, make sure that you mesh well with them, that you could see yourself being, friends with them, and then see what happens from there. But that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, all my friends and everybody I saw last night. I love you guys. That was so cool. Yeah. That seriously, seeing people, it just brings me so much life and joy. I know it does to everybody else too. That was
Oh, for sure. I'm gonna be on. I was on a phone call earlier, and I was like, I'm gonna be on cloud 9 for like the next couple of weeks, just having the ability to use this platform to bring people together and seeing friends and making new friends, and it's just really, really cool. And shout out to our sponsors, Core Medical Group with Jeremy Grimaldi, and then also with Scott Sudrick of Total Med. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring the event.
Thank you.
If you're interested, if you're a recruiter, whatever, you're interested in sponsoring an event, definitely reach out. Definitely say hi. We can make a connection and see what we can make happen. And then as for the travelers, be sure to stick around. Keep an eye out in the New Medical Nomads Facebook group. That's usually where I post where the next meetup is going to be. If you were looking for the official launches of these episodes, you can go to New Medical Nomads Podcast on Facebook, on the Facebook page. But if you want early access to it, a week to 2 weeks in advance, you can subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, your favorite podcast app. Basically, wherever you're at, I'm at. But and then, of course, if you like the show, found some benefit to this, found some benefit to the wisdom of Ashley Lemanski, you can subscribe, like, heart, hit the follow button, and then the more people that engage, the more people that will awesome information, the more travelers that we can help, which is ultimately the goal of the podcast. But thank you so much, Ashley. As always, good to have you. Good to see you.
San Francisco says, hey, y'all.
And for all the listeners, you guys have safe travels.
My friend.